One of my favorite things is sinking funds, putting money aside for an upcoming expense. That's literally all it is. And every single person has some type of upcoming or expected expense, whether that's in 30 days, 90 days, a year. Like if you're someone who has to register your car once a year and it's more expensive than others, I hear some people talk about like $500. Here where I live, it's like $50 for one vehicle. But there's some places where it's super expensive. It could be like $500. How would you pay for that? Like you have to put money aside and save up for that. I love putting money aside. And honestly, I think that people really sleep on the importance of saving money, but it's so important. As I've said before, it's the exact reason that some people get into debt is because they didn't have enough money saved for an upcoming expense or an unexpected expense or an emergency. So I thought it'd be cool to look at our sinking funds. People ask us, what child savings account we use or who I recommend. And I always say, like, I don't really recommend one because it's going to depend on your preference. Like, you have to find out what's right for you. I do recommend getting a high yield savings account. Absolutely. Like, traditional banks will literally disrespect you with the penny and interest that they give you each month. But for sure, get a high yield savings account. Yes, if you earn more than $10 on interest, you do have to end up getting a 1099 for your earnings. Yes, it's still worth it. Nobody's taxed at 100%. Would you rather get $10 and have to pay back three, or would you rather just get zero? So, yes, I feel it's still worth it, but do what's best for you. Us, on the other hand, we do have Ally Bank. I will say that the reason that they have us in a chokehold is because of their bucket system that they have. I'm going to show you guys what our bucket system looks like. Now, I will say first and foremost, obviously, this is not sponsored. I'm not even good enough for Ally's referral program. People that I refer to Ally, they'll literally message me and say, hey, I'm going to open an Ally savings account because of your video. Do you have a referral link? And I'm like, no, looking like a clown. But anyway, I do it out of the goodness of my heart. This bank and their bucket system, I love it. And I get no kickback for it. That's fine. That's okay. Someday they're going to be banging down my door wishing that they worked with me. Anyway, yeah. So let's start right at the top with our bucket system here. I'm going to show you guys exactly how much we have in our bank account and our buckets and all of that. So this is what we're working with. We've earned $499 in interest year to date so far. Our annual percentage yield is 4.2%. Obviously, this is where it goes back to me saying that it's really a personal preference on what you decide to do as far as which bank you go with. Because sure, there are banks out there that have a higher yield than 4.2%. There's some that have 5%. Like I think Wealthfront has like 5%. So if that's what's important to you, getting the highest possible rate, you might go that route. But to me, I'm not going to like change my bank because of the rate fluctuating or like a rate being higher someplace else, because the rate fluctuates no matter what. Like with the market, it changes. It can go up or down. And to me, it's just not worth it to like move all of my money out of my account and go to a different bank just because like some other place has a higher rate for now. So that's where we're at. Like I've said, Ally has me in this chokehold with their bucket system. So let's talk a little bit about what we have in our buckets. Right now we have 20 buckets. When I'm filming this video, September 6th, 2024, they allow you to have 30 different buckets. I have 22 right now, and you'll see that a lot of them, not a lot of them, but a decent amount of them are sitting at zero. Today, literally like an hour ago, I literally added the patio and iPhones one. I just talked to my husband about us getting a patio and how that's like a goal that I'd like to have after I pay off the house next year is by the end of 2025 for us to have a patio. That's our like intense goal. I'll say more leniently. Is leniently a word? Being lenient, I would go for like January or February 2026, but I feel like absolutely it is by like March 2026. I would like for us to have this patio in our backyard. I would love for us to just be able to sit out there and not have to sit on the steps that lead to the grass. Like, I would love that. But one thing, when you live a life without loans and you just want to save up for things and then pay for them and not go into debt to get them, you do live a little bit of a different life. You don't get that instant gratification all the time. Sometimes you have to have delayed gratification, and that is okay. First off, technically, you know what? I might just have 21 buckets because this one here is core savings, and that's just the one that comes along with the savings account. Like, it's not one that I created. But yeah, so first thing first, I just created patio. We're thinking 10 to 12,000 at minimum. Hopefully, since we're probably going to get it installed like during their not busy season, like it'll be like in the winter time. Hopefully, when we get it installed, hopefully the prices can be less since there'll be less demand. iPhones, anyone out there with an iPhone, you know that we're most likely going to get another one in the future. Like, I'm not the type to get it obviously every year. We've had these phones for coming up on 3 years now, but I would like realistically if maybe after we have the house as like a small maybe gift to ourselves, we can get a new iPhone, or even 2026, maybe September, October, no rush. But I will say that with content creation, me having 256 gigabytes of storage gets old. I definitely want my next phone to have a minimum of the next one up, which is 512 gigabytes, maybe even the terabyte, to be very honest with you, just so I don't have to worry about it. And I just can't believe that we used to get phones with like 64 gigabytes and stuff like that because it runs out real quick. Anyway, the next one here, Olympics 2028. I did start in August after we watched the Olympics. We're like, you know what? We are going to the Olympics in 2028. And so let's start saving now, because even though that's 4 years from now and you think that's crazy, the sooner you start saving for something, the less amount of money that you have to save monthly towards that goal. And actually, the 58.43 in there is literally the amount of interest that we earned in the month of August. I just put it straight towards that. Our ultimate goal is sitting at $6,000. Honestly, after talking with a few people, I might up it, but at least 6,000. You just never know with travel and stuff like that and the tickets and everything. I'm going to try to prepare as much as we can in advance so that way that cost doesn't stray too far away from 6,000, but realistically, comfortably, we might go for like 8, 9, or 10,000 on that. But the 6,000, it was supposed to be so that way $125 would have to go towards it monthly to get 6,000 by 4 years from now. As you see, we've gotten through the first month and we do not have $125 in there. That is okay. Money is tight. Now, next, vacations. We already have a vacations bucket in here. We don't have plans to go on vacation until next year. First one being definitely visiting family again. Dennis's mom and stepdad live out of town, so we want to go there. And then also, we'd like to go on vacation to celebrate us paying off our mortgage. So, two vacations that we are kind of planning for next year, but really don't have any concrete type of plans as far as where we're going to celebrate and stuff like that. But the bucket is there. If we get some extra money, we can put that towards it there later on. The next bucket that I created after I had my car accident in May was our car deductible fund. We only had to do $250 for the deductible because Progressive does have a deductible savings bank where every time you renew without an accident, they put $50 in this like imaginary bank for you, basically just meaning that whatever your deductible is, you would pay less whatever in your deductible savings bank. We had 250. My deductible was 500. We only had to pay 250. But obviously, no one plans for a car accident. But yes, I like to put money towards it every now and then. It's kind of like one of those things that you don't want to save for because you're like, I don't want to get in an accident. But if you did, I guess you could either use the car deductible fund or just use like the emergency fund. That's one thing that I just put it there because I was putting money aside specifically for the car deductible. Didn't want to use the emergency fund. Side hustle taxes, that's whenever we get like a significant amount of money from like our side hustles, which are mainly TikTok. That's probably the most money I've gotten aside from like the things where I would audit people's finances and stuff like that. That's probably actually the most money I've made in side hustles this year is like auditing people's finances, but lately it's been more so TikTok. So anyway, I have that sitting there so that once it's time for us to file our taxes next year, if there's anything that we would end up owing, that money's already there for us. Renewals, I created this bucket whenever my husband was set to renew his nursing license a couple months ago. Took care of that, left $25 there. Now we do have some other things coming up, like my birthday is next month, and I have to register or renew my driver's license since it's set to expire. Luckily, now our state allows us to have our driver's license expire every 8 years instead of just 4. So that's really exciting that I won't have to get it done for 8 years. And then also, it's probably going to be a little bit more because I have to do the compliant driver's license to fly and stuff like that. Also, we need to renew our car registration. And instead of doing the annual one, we are going to try to do the 5-year one so we don't have to worry about it for a while because that year comes so fast. That's going to be $540 for 5 years for both of our cars. I know that some people have told me that they pay that for 1 year for one vehicle, so I'm really sorry about that. But for us, it's going to be $540. Other things I've also thought about is like if the cost of renewing your vehicle like goes up over the years, technically you're already locked in for 5 years, so it just helps. So that would be in 2029 is when we would need to register our vehicle again. And that's also when my husband is set to get his next driver's license. So I just feel like that was a good time to like have to do everything again. We have a birthday fund at $20 right now. I think we created that bucket for my son's birthday. That was in July. And now we don't really have any birthdays coming up besides my own in October. I don't know if I'm going to use a sinking fund or if I'm just going to try to use money in my paycheck, but definitely a good bucket to have. Just, preparing for if a friend's birthday comes up or someone in the family, etc. Our clothes fund is sitting at zero. Right now, money is tight, y'all. We don't need any clothes right now, but if our kids need, clothes, we have funds for them, which I'll get to in a minute. But right now, that is sitting at zero. We have a rainy day fund that's sitting at zero. We have a home fund. I'm not sure what we think we're going to do with $80. Just because if something were to come up in the home, we're going to need more than that. But hey, if we need to patch a wall, something like that, we got $80 already sitting there waiting for us. Now, the next one is my youngest son's savings. Like, if we have something come up, let's say like a medical bill, like the dentist is like always out of network, like we could use that, stuff like that, even though we did just take them to the dentist and we're probably not going to try to take from that. We don't try to take from that. We used to have it sitting at 1,000 for each kid. Things have come up, but for now, we have that money there just in case. Medical expenses, as you guys know, we've had a lot of medical expenses lately. Like right now, our running total is about $1,500 for medical expenses. So we just got to 914 at our last payday. That is exciting. Car maintenance, always a good sinking fund to have. You guys know that. $250 sitting in there right now. I'm planning to possibly get some oil changes scheduled for both vehicles by the next couple of weeks before I'm due to go back to work, even though we don't really need oil changes yet. Like one vehicle, it's like the limit is 7,500 or 6 months. It technically we're coming up on 6 months, but I think it's only been like 3,000 miles that we've put on in like these last 6 months or so. Other vehicle is, I want to say 10,000 miles or 12 months. It's been nowhere near 10,000 miles. It's been nowhere near 12 months. So that's the only thing. I remember once I went to take our vehicle to get an oil change and they literally was like, it's only been like 3,000 miles, like basically telling me like not to get it. But the thing is, I like getting it done sooner because I'm like, it also comes with an inspection and you just never know. So yeah, that's like the only thing about that. Recurring bills, that's typically going to be our annual or semi-annual bills. We just paid our car insurance, which we pay every 6 months. We just paid that on the third. And then our homeowners insurance we pay annually. That totaled about $1,580 to be honest with you. So that's pretty much all going towards that. Other ones that are less significant we have coming up, like we pay for the annual Ring Pro plan, which I look at that every year to make sure that those benefits are still benefiting us. So more to come on that. Amazon Prime we also have coming up to pay for. That's about $150 out the door. So less significant, but definitely want to start better planning for the next 6 months. So in March, when the car insurance is due again, just putting money aside a little bit at a time as much as we can. Christmas fund right now is at 500. I'm expecting it to get to probably 800 or so by the time Christmas comes, which is plenty. Like we are definitely teaching our kids under consumption and not over consumption at this age. Just I kind of opened my eyes last Christmas to the fact that when we get a ton of stuff for our kids and we're constantly shoving like another toy in their face on Christmas morning and another toy and another toy, it really teaches them overconsumption. And they honestly are a bit overwhelmed from a young age when you really look at them and you're like, okay, no, don't play with that one. Here, open this one. Here, open that one. Here, open this one. It's like we're teaching them to overconsume and that they should get a bunch of stuff on Christmas Day. Obviously, everyone does what's best for them, but this is what I opened my eyes to. They didn't have more than like 5 things each. So we just felt really good about that. And I also felt like it just doesn't declutter your house unnecessarily because most of the time after Christmas, within like a week, they're already done with whatever you bought them. So just buying things of value, being intentional with our Christmas shopping and keeping costs low. I don't expect it to get anywhere close to 500, but hopefully with paying for other things, maybe if we want to get something for one of us in the home or a friend or something like that, also using that money for that. My older son's sinking fund is at 355. We definitely want to get it back up to 1,000 per kid. Just right now, the priority obviously is the mortgage, other things that we actually have due. But of course, if anything comes up for our kids, we definitely move things around as needed and take care of what needs to be taken care of. Self-care fund, I usually use that for when I get my hair done every few months or waxing appointments. I do have the wax pass, so I don't have to pay for like my actual wax visits for a while. because I prepaid them. So I do pay for like the tip, and then getting my hair done, it usually will come out to like $125 or so. Right now that is sitting at zero. Bill payment. So when we get paid the first time at the beginning of the month, we put aside money for all of our bills and our groceries. It typically comes to around $1,000. We have that sit there and earn a little bit extra interest in our high yield savings account. And then at the end of the month, once all the bills are paid, move it on out and use that money to pay it. My rule of thumb is if it's a company that's going to charge a fee for me using a credit card, I will just use our checking account to pay that bill. But if they don't charge a fee, then I will just use our credit card and get a little bit extra cash back. So things like Netflix, YouTube TV, our subscriptions, our streaming services, groceries, like we put all of that on the credit card and then just pay it at the end of the month. With the tax payments, we are constantly pulling from that and putting money in it throughout the year, because with our local taxes, we do have to pay that money quarterly. It's about $350 or so right now, whatever they estimate your tax bill to be for the next year. We do have to take care of that quarterly. And then property taxes is what that money is mainly for. We'll put aside about $500 a month for that. We just paid for the last 6 months in July, and then in February, we'll pay for the next 6 months. So just constantly moving money in and out of that. Now, of course, the main thing being our emergency fund. $10,000 covers about 4 to 5 months of expenses for us. Last year, our goal was to get that up to 15,000, and then life happens. We had some car repairs to take care of, other things that came up, and now it's sitting at 10 and it's just been there. The main thing you'll see with just all of this is just we're prioritizing what we can prioritize right now. We're controlling what we can control. Our main goal is paying off the mortgage, and then other things that come up, we will take care of that, like these medical expenses right now. After the house is paid off next year, we definitely want to kick it into overdrive and just beef up our savings account quite a bit. So for now, we're doing what we can do. Like I've said before, I enjoy this bucket system. I love seeing everything laid out. I really wish that more companies could do this. Like there should be an abundance of these types of things to make it really easy for people to save. I think that I wouldn't lean towards Ally so much or mention their name so much if there was a lot more of other companies that did this. But also at the same time, I can only talk about what I've experienced, and I know there's like one or two other banks that do this, and I just haven't had like the experience with them to speak about them. But if other banks do this, for sure pursue them as well. But Ally, if you're watching this, hit me up if you want to do something. Not sponsored, but Ally, hit me up. My DMs are open.